Welcome to the Run Out. I am Neil Barrett. He is Brandon Hooten. We have so much to get into this week. Vancouver finally made a statement. Oshawa fires their offensive coordinator, and it is finally nearly almost NCAA lacrosse season. But before we get into that, Brandon, this is episode 50 of the Run Out. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
We made it. It's almost a year's worth of episodes.
Yeah. I was like, man, I started in November the year before. I'm like, how have I not hit a year yet? But then I realized when it was just me, I took a couple of breaks that were long that I probably shouldn't have, but I did. And then you and I took 5 weeks off, something like that at the end of the PLL season. So definitely makes sense. But I was like, oh man, how am I only at 50? But it feels like I've been doing this for years now. But as always, how was your week, man?
It was mostly solid. It was Saturday, went to a small card show with almost no sports cards, but still a ton of fun. Obviously went to the Mammoth game that night. Big dubs, all I gotta say. Fantastic performance. And then Saturday rolls around, I go work the Bronco game in freezing temperatures and watch them just lose a heartbreaker, which sucked. It was weird. It's like a happy frustration. Just you look at where the team's been, and it's like we were talking about with the Panthers last week. Like you want to be happy, but it also sucks when you're so close to seeing that, and then you have to watch all the fans walk out of your stadium and they're cheering and hooting and hollering because those 7 years were so tough for those Patriots fans to not be in the Super Bowl. So that sucked, and then I woke up the next morning kind of feeling a little sick, and I knew it was coming. I was waking up all night. Ended up going to work, was fine all day. Woke up this morning and I was like, I'm not going to work. I don't know how long I slept today, but it was a good while. I'm feeling a lot better, so that's at least good. But that
is good.
That's about my weekend recap.
I was a little confused on who to go for in that game because I live in the middle of Patriots country. I didn't really want to hear that from them, but I also was like, Brandon might be a little unbearable if they win this game. I don't know.
I would have. If we would have won with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I would say that.
All I'll say is I don't think the Patriots are as good as people have been talking them up to be based on what happened in that game. You put up 10 points, and we're talking about before the snow. People are trying to use that as the excuse. I'm like, that didn't come until the middle of the third quarter. So what were you doing the first 2.5? Regardless, I'm not going to make excuses. We lost. It is what it is. At least we have the Nuggets. We have the Avs. We have the Mammoth.
For now.
Hey, I just need one of them. Just give me one.
I forgot to wear my Manchester United jersey. I should have.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. I told you Michael Carrick's the best pickup of all time.
I just need the audience to know because I'm quite sure that our audience is similar to you, not soccer fans. Since we had the conversation where you said that Michael Carrick was the greatest and he was going to lead them on in our 2 games since then, we have beat the number 2 team in the table and the number 1 team in the table, both of which are huge rivals of ours, both of which we looked great playing in. So
yep.
It's
just remember the power I have. I can pull that away.
You being good luck, or it's Michael Carrick. Either way, I'll give you the credit.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll check back in a couple of weeks when hopefully they have a couple more wins, and then I could just say, see, and I'll sneak in a loss somewhere in there just to keep us humble.
We also officially jumped Adam Levy's team in the table. So anytime we can finish above Liverpool, I will accept that. So, but that was kind of it, other than the fact that outside of this window, there is about 2.5 feet of snow, which sucks. I think that's the most amount of snow I've ever dealt with at one time. And it sucks. I spent an hour and a half digging out me and my wife's cars last night so that she could go to work and the driveway could be plowed, and it was terrible, and I'm old and I woke up sore and dying. I was like, oh, this sucks. So
no better workout than shoveling some snow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible, and I don't ever need to do that again. I can move back south. Like I don't ever need to do that again. I keep seeing this thing on TikTok, the little thing that it's like a shovel that you just kind of like push along, and it shoots. It's like a snowblower, but it's like a shovel. I don't know. I keep seeing it on TikTok, and some rapper, who was that? Oh, it was Jim Jones was just on TikTok doing it. I don't know why that came on my feed, but it did. I was like, oh, maybe I need to get one of those. But yeah. So, and my wife told me when she got home that it is snowing again. So
fun.
Great. New England. All right, but that is enough of the real world. Let's get into the NLL, and we will start with the San Diego Seals beating the Philadelphia Wings 9-7. This I want to say it was sort of surprising, but it probably wasn't really. I think you and I both picked, not that we picked, but we both thought the Seals would win this game. But
I picked the Wings, actually.
Did you? I don't even remember who I picked.
Yeah, I just felt like I felt like San Diego still just kind of scattered a little bit team-wise, and I just was like, if there's a game that Philly can really take, I felt like it was this one. And I was right for about 2 quarters. They go into halftime 4-1, and then all of a sudden San Diego comes out and just pops them in the mouth and outscores them 8-3. So if they can find a way to kind of put even just third quarter like that together, like that first half, I would have felt much better. But, I mean, props to San Diego, I guess. Both Ben McIntosh and Eric Fennell led their teams 5 points each, which is good to see. Good goaltending play, as always, which is cool. But, yeah, this is a game I think both teams kind of needed to take to a degree. Just with the way that we've talked about them quite a bit this year, it's kind of like you got to win these types of games and then steal some of the bigger ones. So we'll see if San Diego, this is like the kind of their turnaround, because I believe it's 2 in a row. They beat Vancouver last week, so if that's the case, awesome for them. But still would like to see Philly, I think, put up more of a fight in the second half.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. Was like, oh, is this the sign that San Diego's starting to kind of put it together a little bit? Not that this was a big win or necessarily an impressive or good win, but we talked about it all year. Sometimes you have to win games ugly. You have to win games that you aren't supposed to win, and so I'm a little bit disappointed in Philly, especially like you said, getting up 4-1, and you thought, okay, they should be able to hold on to this, and then just feels like they didn't even come out of the locker room in the second half. So that being said, like you said, hopefully, I don't even know if I want to say hopefully. It's not like I'm a San Diego Seals fan, but like maybe this is them kind of starting to figure it out and put it together. 2 wins, a good win against Vancouver, especially after what they did this week, which we'll get into later. A little bit disappointed in Brendan O'Neill. Thought he could have been a little bit better. But also some of this is just the Seals looking good in that second half. So, Nick Damude, I thought looked pretty good. At the end of the day, he and that defense held San Diego to 9. You would hope that you can get enough from that offense, and they just couldn't get anything going in that second half. Really, I don't know that they got anything ever going, period. They were playing decent in the first half, but it's not like they had an explode. They had 3 quarters where they scored 2 goals. Like it's not like they were playing well. So going back to our conversation a couple weeks ago about who's in the bottom 3, it feels like Philly's starting to slide back a little bit for sure. So this was probably one of the first games though where I watched and thought that they didn't look that good. They didn't look horrible, but they just didn't look that good. They couldn't do anything they wanted to do. So, moving all over to the second game of the weekend. Speaking of Vancouver, we saw Vancouver go into Ottawa and come out with a 12-8 win. Probably the most impressive victory on Vancouver's of their season so far, because that Ottawa team's pretty good, as we have talked about for several weeks, holding them to 8, holding I say holding Jeff Teat to 6, but
for him that's holding.
Given that Jeff Teat is who he is, 3 goals and 3 assists is a relatively down night for Jeff Teat. So holding him and I think really just kind of holding the offense to essentially Jeff Teat and Rob Hellier was a big deal. And then, of course, getting 42 saves out of Christian Del Bianco. This was the first time where I think we have seen them look like the team that we expected them to look like.
Well, at least for a half. Not sure I'm willing to give them the full 100% credit. Just you look at that second half and like their offense was just gone all of a sudden. But that first half was, there's a reason you play hard every quarter, and it's because when stuff like this happens, at least you had that first half to lean on. When you go into halftime 10-6 and you know that Ottawa's not necessarily firing on all cylinders like they have been, you got to feel pretty good about it. And then obviously the defense holding them to just 2 goals in that second half as well. Hellier with no goals is huge. He still had 4 assists, but to me that's pretty good. And then obviously Connor Kiernan only had 4 as well. Riley O'Connor with only 2. Like, this was just one of those things that I think Ottawa just kind of didn't play as well as we've been accustomed to the last few weeks, which is going to happen from time to time. And if it's going to happen against anybody, it's probably going to happen against Vancouver. So, but yeah, overall, I'm trying to think back of all their wins. I think this probably is one of the better ones. I picked Ottawa in this game just because I felt like they were kind of rolling. I didn't feel like Vancouver showed me enough to kind of, push them over into that favorites for me. But, if this is kind of the start, kind of like we said with San Diego, if this is the start for Vancouver to really start steamrolling people, then I think that's where they'll start looking like that championship contender. But good one overall. Not concerned about Ottawa just yet. I just think they just kind of had a bad night overall.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm trying to find the Vancouver thing. This is like not going well at all. I don't know why. I was trying to back up the comment, not your comment. I guess it was technically mine, wasn't it? That this was their best win. I can't do it. So it doesn't matter. But definitely in my memory, this was their best win. And like we were talking about with San Diego, maybe for them, this is going to be something that gets that ball rolling for them and gets them towards that team that we're kind of expecting to see from them. But I guess we will see. I know both of these teams have some good games coming up, so we'll see. But let's move over to the third game. Is that right? Third game?
Yeah,
of the weekend. Arguably game of the weekend between Georgia and Toronto. Georgia came out with a 10-9 overtime victory. This game, maybe it wasn't the best lacrosse in the world, but was a lot of fun to watch. 10-9. I actually, for a while, really thought Toronto was going to win, and I thought maybe it could be it would be another team that's like, oh, we're starting to put some things together. But that, like we said in the other games, that second half, they just kind of fell apart a bit. Everything that had been going right for them early just kind of did not go right for them at all in the second half. But Brett Thompson was amazing again. 48 saves, holding the Rock to 9 points. Just incredible. At this point, he's got to be goalie of the year at this point of the season. Yeah.
Goalie of the year, MVP favorite. I mean, I've been saying it a couple weeks now. I think Dylan Ward's right on his heels for both of those. And I did say too, I think we could see a situation where like someone like Dylan Ward or CDB wins goalie of the year, and then Brett Dobson wins MVP or something along those lines. But I mean, you see it week in and week out at this point that Dobber's keeping them in games. I mean, to keep them to 9 goals. I know Toronto's offense is kind of streaky from time to time with the young talent they have, but I mean, to me, that's still very good. And he had a bad first quarter. After that, he settled right in, and then didn't give up more than 2 a quarter, which is awesome. Excuse me. Toronto going 4 for 5 on power play as well. You got to win those games. Like, you capitalized on that. You got more shots on goal. You were more disciplined, less penalty minutes. Like, you held Lyle Thompson to 3 points again. You got to win those games. Obviously, they didn't have Nick Rose, so who's to say how this game would have turned out if he was playing? But I mean, I still thought Troy Holochuk played pretty well.
Yeah,
to only allow 10 goals.
I thought he looked great.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that hasn't played a ton. He's definitely played more than most backups, but he's still kind of finding his way. And I think the more that he can play right now while Rose is out, better off he'll be long term. But yeah, I think it was a good, fun matchup. I think with two teams that are more evenly matched than I probably gave them credit for at the beginning of the season. So fun to watch, but glad that I after going over 2 Friday night, I finally picked a winner. So that felt good.
I'd have to look it up. I think I picked the Rock, but I'm genuinely not sure. But yeah, no, I thought Troy Holochuk looked good. He looked very good early. Obviously, I think it waned a little bit, but still, I mean, in regulation, that's a 9 goals allowed game. Like, again, you do that and you would expect to probably win more often than not. So I was pleasantly surprised, especially knowing that Nick Rose is going to be out for at least a little bit, that with his play and the way that the team kind of responded to him coming in, it just really felt like my problem is watching that game. I can't decide how much of it was Georgia's defense stepping up in that second half and how much of it was Toronto's offense just kind of fading. I don't know that there's really going to be a definitive answer, and certainly at some point it's a little bit of both. But
Georgia's defense has been doing this now for a little bit.
Yes.
So that's where I kind of lean that way of just like,
yeah.
And again, maybe this is just on us for not giving them the credit, preseason and all that. But again, they're keeping their team in the game and holding teams to, a good amount of goals to where it's like, oh, our offense only has to score 10, or, the Colorado game only has to score 4, or whatever it is. Like, to me, if you can do that, you're going to win a lot more games than if you just have a powerful offense a la Vegas or a couple other teams.
Yeah. Georgia's the one team where like their offense, their defense keeps them in games, like we have talked about for several of these teams, but the offense kind of actually does tend to do like just enough to actually win the games, which is funny without them being like impressive in any way. Like you said, Lyle had 10 last week, right? And then he had 3 this week, so
they actually remind me a lot of the Mammoth of the last couple of seasons. Like you're saying, where like your defense can be dominant, your goaltending can be dominant, but the offense is just not quite there all the time. And like you're saying, some games are doing just enough to where it's like, hey, we got to win. And then there's other times where it's like you couldn't get 7 goals or 8 goals or whatever. And like you're saying, then you have that star player that goes for 10 and then all of a sudden drops off down to 3. Which, not that that's an awful thing. I mean, he scored the game winner in this game, Lyle Thompson. So not a bad game at all necessarily, but right, exactly. And that's where it's like, in a win, we'll take those. But, if this is a trend where they start to maybe lose games, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we need the stars to step up. But so far they've been pretty good. So I'll be the first to say I was wrong about this team so far, and it's been super fun to watch in my opinion.
Yeah, my question, I don't even know that I'm necessarily asking for you to answer, although certainly answer it. But my question is, how far, the saying is always, defense wins championships. And I certainly feel like this is a championship caliber defense. But how, excuse me, how far will this defense be able to carry them?
Well, I mean, so there's two answers to this. The first one is I watched my team win a championship based off their defense. If you go back, I'd have to look at the numbers to like fully back this up, but if you go watch that 2022 Mammoth team, I think that final game 3 of the finals was like 10-8 final score. So it really was on the goalie and the defense holding team. So I do think that can get them very, very far. The challenge, I think, this year is that there are several teams, I think, with offenses that are just far too potent in general and also have a very good defense. Colorado being one of them recently. I think Rochester's up there. I think Vancouver is slowly getting there as well. And there's a couple others that are kind of heavy on the opposite side. Like we said, Vegas with an offense that is going to score a bunch of goals, and their defense might give up a bunch, but they're a team that they can do just enough to win games. So that's where it's like this particular season, we'll see if they can get, super far. But as far as like a regular season standpoint, I think they'll end up, at least right now, being in top 8 because they're doing enough. And I'm one that doesn't necessarily believe that you can do enough and win a ton of championships, but all you need is one good run. And we've seen that from, a bunch of teams in all different sports.
Yeah, I wish I felt this much better about that offense. If they were, even if they weren't scoring, 14, 15 goals a game, if they were consistently putting up 10 or 11 goals even, I might feel better about them. But they're just so up and down and up and down. And to your point, Colorado, they did beat the Bandits in the last 2 games, 11-8 and 10-8. So to your point, if you're scoring, if you're holding the other team to 8 goals a game, you're going to put yourself in a position to win.
And Georgia right now is doing it on the road as well, which I think is important. I mean, the 3 in Colorado, 9 now in Toronto. I'm probably missing a couple where it's like, oh, this isn't just like a home phenomenon, because some teams can do it really well at home and they get on the road and it's like, well, what happened to our team? So that's where I feel, a little bit better about them in general, just because I'm seeing them do it. But I totally agree with you that, like, if the offense just gives you just a little more, just an extra goal a game, 2 goals a game, like, all of a sudden we're talking about a team that's actually a deep playoff contender. But I think good for them that they have a winning record right now, and they still have a ton of time to add more wins to that.
Yeah, they currently are at, I don't know what's going on, 4-3. So yeah, winning record. I feel like like I said, that defense is like a championship caliber defense, and you have a good amount of offensive weapons. Shane Jackson, Lyle Thompson, obviously Brian Cole, Nolan Byrne has been great. Like, they have some guys, they just can't seem to put it together week after week. Even Lyle, like we said, 10 points last week, 3 this week. Like, even if he was consistently putting up 6, and there was that level of consistency, this would be a completely different conversation. The only thing that I would say is they have Halifax this coming week, which we'll get to in a minute. But then they kind of hit a decent little stretch. They have Las Vegas, Calgary, and then Philadelphia home and away. Those are their next 5 games. And it's like, could they be 4-1 coming out of those 5 games? Absolutely. So, it might be one of those things too, where if they can climb high enough, they'll make a deep run just because they're going to play some of the lower end teams. But
if they can just take 2 of those, I think. I mean, you don't ever want to go 2-3, but at that point, I think they put them at 500 at the end of that stretch. That's better than I had them at that point. So I'd feel pretty good about it, and especially they have to feel good about just look at the rest of the league below them right now and how they're playing, it's like maybe going 500 does get you into the playoffs and gets you an opportunity and, that type of thing. So I'd feel good if I was them, but I mean, if they can find a way to even get 3 of those, man.
Yeah, 3-2 would put them in a great position. And honestly, I think they should beat Philly twice. Should. Philly's tough and, can score when they want to. So, I would think that going into Calgary, they would hope to win that game. I feel like those are 3 should win games. And then at Halifax and Vegas, kind of toss-ups, which team are you going to get? I would say that Vegas's offense against Georgia's defense, I'm probably going to take Georgia's defense. So it seems crazy to think that they would go 4-1 over a stretch, but I can easily see. I mean, I wouldn't be hugely shocked with the way Halifax has been playing if they won all 5 of those games. But like you said, even at 3-2, if they can go 3-2, there'll be 2 games above 500 at that point. They'll be in a very good position, I think. And like you said, significantly better than I think either of us had them at the start of the season. But let's move on to the final game of the weekend that saw your boys, the Colorado Mammoth, that's the words, beat the Oshawa Firewolves 15-11. I'm just going to let you go. Just take it away.
Yeah, they did what they were supposed to do. Oshawa found some offense, which I think is good for them. Alex Simmons with 10 points is huge for them. Problem is the other guy on the other side get 10 points in Andrew Q. And we had a discussion in our Discord server today kind of just about, specifically, it morphed into a Colorado offense discussion about Q and his, contributions, I guess I'll say. And he had 10 points in this game, but Jack Hanna had 7 as well. It just was one of those games where everyone was kind of just playing well. I mean, Dylan Ward 49 saves. I know he had 11 goals on him, but I think that's almost 3 straight 50 burgers. I think last week he had 48 saves or something like that. The week before he had 50. So he's playing out of his mind right now. Will Malcolm with 6 points himself. You had several guys with 4. Braden Saris is finally coming into his own, which is really nice to see. With a goal and an assist. Owen Down with a goal. Thomas Vela. All the guys that you don't really think about on this team, I think have just kind of been silently playing very well. They're doing the dirty work, getting guys open, which is nice to see. And I mean, yeah, Wardo just kind of hunkered down there in that second half. You give up 7 goals in the first, and you're like, first half rather, and you're like, yeah, okay, this might be one of those nights, and all of a sudden, he only gives up 4 the rest of the game, and we put up 4 in that third quarter alone. So, definitely exciting to kind of have your full offense, quote unquote, back, aside from Lee and Eli McLaughlin. But 4 in a row, I don't think you can understate the value that Hannah and Q add to this offense. And Oshawa obviously fired their defensive coach after this game, which I don't fully understand. I know you got 15 put on your head, but look at who you're playing, kind of deal. So I don't know, interesting situation for sure, but good win for the Mammoth. I
just want to say, in terms of firing your defensive coordinator, look, the defense ain't been good the last 2 games. They've given up, 3 of the last 4 games. They've given up 15 twice and 16 once. So 3 of the last 4 games, they haven't been particularly good. But before that, they were fairly solid. So why we fired a defensive coordinator, and again, the defense hasn't been good lately, but why did we fire a defensive coordinator when the first 4 games of the season you couldn't break 8 points? You couldn't break 7. Why didn't we fire the offensive coordinator? What? Yeah, you got 11 goals, you got 11 goals this week, but that's only the second time all season Oh, the third time, excuse me, because you beat Halifax by scoring 16 randomly. But like, I don't know. You scored 2 goals against Halifax in week 2. 2. And we didn't fire an offensive coordinator, but now we have fired the defensive coordinator. I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Back to the game at hand. Yeah, I mean, this Colorado team, night and day, they look night and day different from what they did at the start of the season. Maybe not the start of the season because they did beat Vancouver 10-7 in game 1, but the next 2 weeks.
The feeling you have around the team, though, is definitely different.
Yeah, the feeling has totally changed. They went from a team that you were like, if they could do this or that, they'd be good, to now being like, oh, are they going to make a run? Because in so many ways, what we just talked about with Georgia is where Colorado already is. Maybe the defense isn't quite as good, but it's still a very good defense anchored by a very good goalie in Dylan Ward. And you have so much more faith in this offense to put up the necessary goals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They're 5th, tied. Actually, they're tied for 3rd in goals against. And then obviously you have Georgia with 55 and Vancouver 54. So I mean, their defense is doing what they're supposed to do. Offense, I think their numbers are a little bit skewed by that Georgia game, and then the Philly game as well, with 3 and I think it was 7, so 10 points between those 2 games. But I think since then, we were talking about today, I mean, they just been scoring at will pretty much, and obviously as a fan I love it, but also as a fan of just good lacrosse, it's like, okay, you finally have all the talent. Like I said, when we got Hannah in them, like there was no excuses. You get Andrew Q back for his first game at home finally, and like, yeah, they got whatever they wanted. To put up 3 a quarter is just such a welcome sight, because that's not something we've seen the last couple of seasons after they made those 2 championship appearances. And I think now you look at teams like, or games like Buffalo this week, where it's like, in previous years I might feel like, that it's going to be a tough one, and it is still going to be tough, but it's like, okay, at least I can feel confident that like the offense can score and the defense can limit guys. And again, just seeing the young guys kind of put stuff together is just awesome, because those first couple of games, I mean, Braden Saris was not doing much of anything. It was just cardio, and all of a sudden now he's scoring consistently, at least putting up points in each game. And even like this game, Jalen Chester was put on the PUP list like an hour or 2 before the game, and didn't really matter. So I think the depth is just crazy good right now. And I mean, still credit to the Firewolves for putting up 11. I think they're just a confusing team. Like we've talked about, where they score a bunch of goals and they give up a bunch of goals. And then there's times that they hold teams to a low number, but then they don't even score a ton of goals. And it's, it is encouraging to see guys like Ty Kurtz have 4 goals, 6 points overall. Alex Simmons with 10 points overall. Dyson, I thought, had a quietly good night as well, 4 assists. But like, he's a guy that I feel like needs to find the back of the net more consistently. Give me 2 a game. I'm not asking for a hat trick or 4 or 5. I thought they added Dawson Thied before this game, so his second game against the Mammoth in a row and 1 goal. Maybe you can give him the pass because it's his first game with this new squad, but hopefully he comes on and can put some goals in the back of the net, because looking at the standings right now, they're 2 and 6. That's third to last right now, and thankfully they're in a position where the teams above them are not that far ahead, so they do have time to make up some ground here, and hopefully that firing their defensive coach helps. But I mean, being that 250 mark right now, 8 games in, it's just not good for them.
Yeah, I was going to say that the problem with them is that a lot of the teams in front of them are not that far ahead of them, but they have games in hand. Because Oshawa's already played 8 games. Halifax is at 7. The next, 4 teams have only played 6. So they'll have an opportunity to widen that gap before Oshawa can really catch up. But should we have the conversation that we had in the Lax Lifers Discord this afternoon?
I mean, we can bring it up. I don't know that I have a full stance on the initial question. I didn't see the question until it was sent in the chat.
So the question came from Adam Adam Levy. I'm going to see if I can pull up the exact wording because I think...
Here we go. I have it up.
You have it?
Yes. It says with Hannah, Colorado's 4-0 over their last 4 games. He has 22 points in those games. Is Jack Hannah a top 5, 10, or 15 impact player in the league today? And the options are obviously top 5, top 10, top 15, or not top 15 impact player.
So I jokingly, for your benefit, said that I thought he was number 1. But then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, it's not that crazy. Do I think he's number 1? I don't know. Do I think he's in the discussion of being top 5? Yeah. And probably closer to number 1 than people want to give him credit for. Because the way I'm seeing it is a couple of things. One, we're talking about right here, right now. We're not talking about the last 5 years. We're not talking about last year. We're talking about right here, right now. What is this player doing to impact their team? So automatically, right here, right now, guys like Dane Smith and Josh Byrne are out for me because for all of the good that they do on the floor, how much is it helping Buffalo right now? Not as much. Like you said, like the tweet said, since Jack Hannah joined the Colorado Mammoth, they are 4-0. And they're not 4-0 with him just putting up like a point or two. They are 4-0 with him making substantial contributions week in and week out.
Yeah, the one game that he had 2 points, like I said in the Discord, he got popped in the chin, and I want to say either chipped a tooth or lost a tooth based on the video after the game. Like, if he plays the rest of that game, or, he missed, I guess, like second and third quarters, whatever it was, like, he probably ends up with more there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably somewhere along the lines of today where he has, 6-ish points or whatever. So the other thing that we discussed was that goalies, where do goalies fall in this conversation? I think if you exclude goalies, I think he's 1, 2, or 3, because we also talked about like Rob Hellier. His impact has been incredible for Ottawa. And then the other one was Andrew Q, same team here with the Mammoth, who also, and in a manner of speaking, it's hard to differentiate Jack Hannah from Andrew Q and in terms of impact because they both were out and then both kind of came back right at about the same time.
Well, and Hannah's played more games as well, so it's easier. Yeah. And this is the other thing that I don't think I made clear in the Discord was it's easier to measure Hannah's impact because we saw them without him the first 3 games, and like Logan McNaney in the PLL actually, where you saw the team and where they were going, and we went from like, hey, maybe they could sneak into the playoffs to they beat Vancouver, but wow, that Philly game was really bad, and that Georgia game was even worse, and he comes in and makes an instant impact. We beat Rochester with 18 goals by 5, and then you see Q come back into the lineup this week, and same style, 15 goals, and so it's like that's why I'm saying I have no problem with people arguing Q over Hannah or whatever it is. The fact that this team has 2 of them is, I mean, I win either way. I don't care what people say about this. Like, I'm with you, though, that how do we factor in goalies? Because to me, that's the most important position on the field. If Dylan Ward isn't playing like he is right now, it doesn't matter what the offense does. That said, if the offense is still putting up 13, 15, 18 goals a game, that's still very, very good. I look at a guy like Dauber. Dauber, in my opinion, is keeping them in games. So he's got to be top 5 impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, because we've seen the team without Hannah and with Hannah, it's like it's easy to be like, well, look at the 2. Where some of these guys, they're just like really good players. Like the names that are being thrown around today in the Discord make sense. We know what guys like Dane do, Josh do. Vancouver's guys, we know what they can contribute.
Jeff T,
yeah. The only one that I was like, I didn't even argue at all was like Hellier has been incredible. I don't think their record shows how good he's been for Ottawa. And that's because we've seen basically the same iteration of the Ottawa Black Bears without him. And now they get him this year and they look better. But I think that's where the record comes into play that helps Jack Hanna to be like,
yeah.
But then it's like, do we argue that Dylan Ward's better than Zach Higgins? And that's why initially when this question was asked, I didn't form an actual, opinion, because I was like, well, the criteria changes so much as far as impact goes. What I will say is I don't think you can ignore Hanna's impact or Q's impact. But there's also a lot of guys that I think we probably didn't talk about that could be thrown up there as well.
Got one of them loaded?
I mean, I think a guy like Michael Grace has just been a game changer for Georgia. I bring him up every week for a reason. I mean,
and I will say the discussion that we had in the Discord was heavily forward centric.
Yes.
And
because that's the easiest way to quantify something.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. It's so easy to look at scoring statistics that just don't have a corresponding defensive counterpart. And it's a lot harder to quantify that. Even goalies to an extent are much more quantifiable, because you can look at scores against and saves, and there are ways to quantify that in ways that you can't quantify defensive players. I would agree with you that I think Michael Grace has been incredible. His impact has been insane. I think Jake Pacino is another one whose impact.
Goodness. He's been incredible.
Yeah, right. And not only,
and even not to cut you off, but even a guy like him, it's hard because look at who they have on offense. It's where people are going to say, well, but look at Fields and look at Zed and all these different guys. I'm like, yeah, those guys are incredible, but Pacino's getting you. I think he had a hat trick at one point just in transition. Yep. That's unheard of.
That was Philly, I think. He had that hat trick in transition. Yeah. And look, Connor Fields ain't a wrong answer at all. Like, he's been incredible. Zach Mans in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
He's been incredible. And obviously is a huge part of why they're sitting at the top of the league right now. So yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I just don't think it's, when I said one, it was a joke. And then I thought about it and I was like, I mean, I think there's an argument to make for him being number one. But then the whole conversation went off the rails because everyone was like, what? And I was like, no, I mean, like, legitimately look at it. Like, I wouldn't even have, CDB was the name that came up. And I'm like, again, CDB has been very good, but what's the impact on that team? Because they haven't been great. I mean, I know they had a pretty good week this week, obviously. And if in 5 games they have won, they've gone 4-1 and they're, climbing the table, like, obviously we'll have a different conversation, but the conversation was right here today. And again, with the last 4 games that Jack Hanna's had, I think there's a really good argument for him to be 1, 2, or 3, put him how you want him. Like I said, we just named a few more that I'm like, where do you put Connor Fields? Where do you put Zach Mann and stuff? But my initial thought off the top of my head was Hanna, Q, Hellier, Dobson, and Ward are like the 5 highest impact players right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have a full 15 that I loaded up, but I think you can make an argument for those guys easily. I also just think each team has different factors that play into like the impact of certain things. But I think now, especially when you lose Ryan Lee, if you don't have Jack Hanna, that right side is, no disrespect to the guys there, not very good. Let's just be honest. I mean, at that point, you have guys that can play and I think are good, but you go from having Ryan Lee, no Ryan Lee, now you at least have Jack Hanna back. Okay, now the right side is workable. he's able to improve other guys' play, I think, a little bit more. A team like Vancouver where offensively they haven't been as dominant as we'd like to see. So from that standpoint, yes, CDB is a huge impact player for them because he's probably keeping them in games even when their offense is a little bit sluggish. But then once they come on, how does that, all of a sudden does that then make their offense a little more impactful? And that's where it's just when I see these conversations, I think it's fun to talk about and discuss because there's so much nuance, I think, that comes into play. The Rochester Nighthawks, if they didn't have Connor Fields, would still be a very good offense. But they're that much better with a Connor Fields, with a Ryan Smith, stuff like that. So to answer Levy's question, at the very least, he's at very least a top 15 impact player. I'll put it at that. I would probably put him higher, but obviously I have some bias in that, so I'll just leave it at 15.
Like I said, for me, I think in terms of answering Adam's question, I'd say top 5. I'm not horribly bothered if someone says top 10 because of some of the other guys that we listed. But yeah, like you said, there's no way he's not top 15. Again, right here, right now, as the question was framed, right here, right now. Obviously we're like I said, I won't put it on you. I'm bumping some good player, Jeff T, Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, those kinds of guys down right here, right now. By the end of the season, they might be at the top. It's that kind of a conversation. It's
Jeff T's one of those guys too, where you take him off Ottawa, what are they?
It's fair.
That's why these are fun conversations.
Yeah, it's part of the fun of the conversation, and also why the conversation is difficult is because we like you said, we have seen this Ottawa team with Jeff Teat and not Rob Hellier. So in terms of impact, it would certainly seem that Rob Hellier has had a greater impact. However, take Jeff Teat off that team and just leave Rob Hellier, it's probably very different. So,
yep.
In that sense, you can make the argument that Jeff Teat's impact is higher because, we talked about it all PLL season with Pat Cavanaugh and Brennan O'Neill and the idea of just having Brennan O'Neill on the field, the gravity of him being there is going to open things up for Pat Cavanaugh that wouldn't necessarily be open for him if Brennan O'Neill wasn't there. So,
yep. And I will say to wrap this up, shout out to Adam Levy for posing a question that I think shines a lot of positive light on a bunch of guys in the league. Because I do think sometimes questions similar to this get asked where it's is this player better than this player? Or is this a top 5 just player in general? And then all of a sudden you get to talking down on guys. And this, at least, I thought was a pretty fun conversation to be oh, yeah, but this guy's over here. And, oh, but this guy's doing this. And, So, good question from Adam. But
yeah, no, you're right. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. It's a way to rank people in a positive way. I said, I came up with my 5 and then we started being well, but there's this guy. So yeah, that's a great question. Let's look ahead to this week. As always, we won't go too in depth on these upcoming games, but we have Saskatchewan. Oh, they're gonna be mad at me for that one. We have Saskatchewan visiting Calgary, Philly heading to San Diego, Georgia going to Halifax, Vancouver out to Rochester, making that cross-country flight, Ottawa just traveling a couple hours down to Toronto, Buffalo heading out to Colorado, and Oshawa visiting Las Vegas. What are we looking at this weekend, Brandon?
A couple of them. Battle of the Prairies, always good. I like that they're opening up the weekend with that. Not happy it's going to be right when I'm getting off work, but it's not about me, so it's fine. San Diego, Philly.
You're not even up there.
Exactly. San Diego, Philly, though. I'm so intrigued because this game just occurred. I want to see if Philly can bounce back and get one. That way the standings at least they each have a game in hand, kind of that way. Georgia Halifax. This week is probably the best week of games so far that we've had because Georgia Halifax. Georgia has a chance to go be 5-3, like legitimately. I think had you asked me preseason, I'd be like, no way, Georgia's losing easily. So from that standpoint, that's awesome. 2 heavyweight contenders, Vancouver Roch. I mean, can't ask for much more. Ottawa, I think, probably should take down Toronto fairly easily, but, who's to say that occurs? Toronto's been pretty streaky at times, which is nice. Another, I think, title contending matchup, Colorado Buffalo. Anytime I get to see a team like Buffalo play in person is fun to me because their talent's just kind of, off the charts. And then Oshawa Vegas as well, just with Oshawa's found some offense, but their defense hasn't been good, and Vegas' defense isn't good, but their offense is good, and just overall, this week is like, the cinema like meme where it's like, that's what this week is.
Yeah. I'm like you said, I'm really interested in this Philly-San Diego game. One, because it's immediately after they played last week. Just flipped. Wait, right? They were in Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just flipped. And like you said, it feels like a game Philly can win. Like I didn't see anything last week where I was like, oh, San Diego's clearly the better team. No, it feels like a game that if they can get Brennan O'Neill going or Michael Sowers has slightly more impact, or hell, maybe it's Eric Fennell. Like maybe he's the key. I don't know. But like it just feels like they just need one guy to kind of step up and hit a goal or two. And they could easily walk out with a win. But also, like we talked about when we were talking about that game from this past week, is San Diego starting to figure it out? Can they take a 9-7 game where maybe they weren't so much better than Philly? Can they maybe stretch that? Can they win by 3? Maybe look a little bit more in control of the game, something like that. So that one, Georgia Halifax is interesting, but I think it's interesting. Like everyone's going to say the same thing. Like, how good is this Georgia team? Basically, obviously Vancouver, Rochester, like you mentioned, Ottawa, Toronto, I think will be fun. But I think the other big one that I'm like really looking at is Buffalo, Colorado. It's going to be a big test for Colorado. But also it kind of feels like it's a big test for Buffalo right now.
Dropping to 500 or below 500 would be tough for them.
Right. They haven't looked great so far. And for me, they're the ones with more to lose because, like you said, they'll drop below 500. Colorado can lose this game and bounce right back. I mean, I want to say they don't want to lose it by a lot, but their last loss 5 games ago was pretty bad, 12-3.
And if you look at the table as well, even if they were to lose, they're still, like you said, they're still top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how if Georgia wins, if that would then bump them because we each won a game. I'm not totally sure about that, but like if Buffalo loses and Vegas wins, that bumps them. Halifax has a tiebreaker over Buffalo as well, so if Halifax wins, like there's just a lot more impact, I think, with that, lower down the table.
Yeah. So those are probably the 2 games I'm most kind of paying attention to, even though, like you said, I think all 7 of these games. Also, first of all, we didn't mention this. It's so good to have every team playing this weekend. I think we've only had that once, that the week that there were actually 8 games.
I want to say there was another week too where there was 7.
Another one?
I want to say there was like a game with 7 games and a week with 7 games rather, and a week with 8 games. But even so, only 3 of them, and we're in week, what are we, 9 or 10 now? So
this will be week 10. Week 10 will be the 3rd week that we've had every team playing a game. So yeah, all 7 games, they all look like good, enjoyable games, at least on paper. Some of these I'm sure will end up not being that fun, but at least on paper heading into them, they look fun. So let's move away from the box game and head into NCAA week 1, or I think it's technically week 0, isn't it? That being said, this is one of the biggest week 0s I can ever remember. Usually week 0 is like a handful of programs play.
Nobody plays.
Yeah, right. It's like week 1 of the NLL season where there's only like 2 or 3 games. You know, it's that kind of thing where there's only a handful of games. But from what I've seen, it looks like a good majority of the teams are playing. Most of the games involve a big powerhouse playing a nobody. I'm going to put that in quotations because, you know, lots of these teams are very good, but don't have necessarily the statue. I did pull 4 games I thought were going to be higher profile games. Maryland is taking on Richmond. That could be a very good game. It could be a big upset. Georgetown takes on Loyola. Georgetown was a quarterfinalist last year, if I remember correctly. I don't think they made the semifinals. And then Loyola was pretty bad last year, but does look to be a lot better this year. Syracuse takes on Boston in the Dome, Boston University. That I think we would expect Syracuse to win that game, but is a pretty it's going to be a tough game in the Dome. But
careful. Our boy Brian's going to come at you if you even consider that they could get upset.
I mean, it happens. I wouldn't expect Syracuse to lose that game, but Boston, you know.
Don't worry, Brian. I'm picking Syracuse. Don't worry.
I would pick Syracuse too. I think everyone would pick Syracuse, but Boston is a much improved program, and who knows, you know, crazier things have happened. And then the last one that I picked for this weekend was UNC versus Towson. I'm interested to see how good this UNC team is on the field. They have all the talent in the world. They have had all the talent in the world for the last couple of years and just don't put it together. Towson and Mikey Weishar, who some people have said should be the number 1 pick in the PLL draft this year. It'll be interesting to just see how this game plays out. But
is this a game that you're going to be hate watching?
This is a game I'm not going to watch. No, I might throw it on just to watch lacrosse. But otherwise I'm not going to like plan to really watch it. But
I know how big of a UNC fan you are, so
I'm a negative fan of you. I am, but I'm also a proud native son of North Carolina, and I would rather at the end of the day see UNC win, you know, a championship and have it be in my home state than see, you know, half the other teams. I generally it's like this. Not so much in lacrosse, but generally in sports, it's Duke, then Florida State, then ACC, then North Carolina schools, then ACC teams, and then a few other teams that I have out there. And I also forget where Air Force is in there somewhere. I'm not entirely
sure. Yeah, but you're like
sure.
Obligated to like them, and you know, it's.
I do think that it was part of the contract I signed back in 2007.
Yeah, it probably says you will be the biggest Air Force sports fan on campus every time you step on campus.
That's right. So yeah, that's kind of the games for this weekend that I'm looking at. Again, there are plenty of other games. Obviously, Duke is playing. I will be paying attention to that. I am interested to see how this team is going to line up. There are rumors that Ben Johnston, who is a stud midfielder, could drop down to play attack this year, which would be crazy. But we'll see. I like our defense. I like our goalie. I like a lot of the pieces that we have. My issue with Duke right now is that they seem to be lacking a number one. I think there's a good amount of depth of guys that are number two and number three options coming into the season. I don't feel like we have a number one. So we'll see if we can develop one. There are a few guys that transferred that could be it. Again, Ben Johnston could be it. We'll see what happens there. But I'm assuming you'll be keeping an eye on Denver.
Yeah, I'll be at their game against Cleveland State on Saturday.
I was going to say I don't remember if they're playing. But now that you say that, I do remember they're playing Cleveland State.
Yeah, that'll be my second of 4 games this weekend. So lots of stuff.
You shooting it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you go to games if you don't have anything else to do.
If I have time to go to a lacrosse game, I want to shoot it. It's the best. Might get hit in the chest once or twice, but Aiden Carroll's not playing this year, so we're good. I won't get hit this year. Could
be worse. Could be Nick. Wait, was it? It was Nick, right? That took Graham.
Oh yeah.
Shot?
Oh yeah, on the fastest shot. Ooh.
Yeah.
He took it like a champ.
Yeah.
But if I want to say like hit his knee or something, I know that thing was burning.
Oh my goodness.
I can't imagine.
I got hit one time with a ball. It was at practice when I was in college. I was playing X, and I'm mirroring the ball. The midfielder has the ball up top. He's sweeping across the face of the goal. I'm rotating behind. He takes a shot, misses the goal by like inches, and hits me right in the thigh. Ugh. If I had been a split second faster around the edge of the cage, it would have hit me in a very bad spot. And I was not wearing a cup because at the time I always wore a cup in a game, but at that time I didn't wear a cup during practice. And that changed that day because I had a huge black and purple, just nasty bruise. And I realized, like I said, if I had been half a second, I mean, it was right there. I just needed to be about 2 inches farther over. And so from then on, I always wore a cup. And when I was coaching, if you weren't wearing a cup and you got hit, I got no sympathy for you, dude. Like you.
Yeah, I would definitely wear one if I played.
So yeah, from then on, the I shouldn't say the 2 most expensive things, but the 2 things that I always bought the top of the line for was my helmet and my cup. Those were always the top of the line because I was like, those are the 2 things I ain't getting back. I can break a finger and that will heal. Those 2, I'm not getting back. So anyway, story time now over. Let's move into some NCAA predictions. We will start with Final Four predictions. How you want to do it? You want to go 1-1 or you want to go through all 4?
Let's go 1-1.
1-1. All right. So my first team should be very excited. We were just talking about Brian. He should be very excited. My first Final Four team is Syracuse.
Okay, I'll just put them as my 1-2 to get out the way.
All right.
So it could come back to bite us, because like obviously the teams that we think are like always going to be the best sometimes aren't. But yeah, the firepower they have is just, I mean,
I honestly very much debated whether or not I could leave them out. And part of my problem, and we'll probably talk about this maybe a little bit deeper as we go. Part of my problem is there's a few teams that are at the top that I don't know that I have a whole lot of faith in. But the issue is the teams that are below them, I have less faith in. So it's like this team I don't feel that good about, but I don't think anyone could necessarily jump them. So, that being said, I mean, Q should be there probably on Memorial Day, like coming into the season on paper, obviously. They have talent everywhere. They have very, very good players everywhere. and they've been building to this. It's not some random offshoot where they jump. Like every year for the past few years, they've gotten a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. I think the thing that worried me, and we didn't talk about this with Cuse, was Trey Deer going down. We didn't talk about this last week because I think it happened or came out kind of right after we recorded last week. But Trey Deer was involved in a car accident and is injured and is expected to make a full recovery, but will be out for this season. And he was kind of that natural replacement for Owen Hiltz, and already had some built-in chemistry with Joey Spallina from having played for the Orangeville Northmen. Is that what that team is called? They had played for 2 years, so they already kind of had some built-in chemistry. So I think the idea was kind of that Trey Deer was going to kind of slot in there and that they were just going to keep on rolling. And part of me wonders how much that will hurt them, because kind of like I mentioned with Duke and Ben Johnston, one of the rumors now is that Michael Leo could move from midfield down to attack. They also do have a sophomore attackman who hasn't really played a ton that could slot in. They have several options, but I think figuring that out could be an issue. That being said, it's kind of a long season. You would imagine that by the time we're rolling into the playoffs, they will figure that out. So, who is your number 2 team?
Surprise, surprise, Maryland. I mean, I feel like in the past when we've done some pick'ems and things like this, sometimes I overthink it and I try to pick these teams that like are a little bit edgy and maybe not favorites, and I just can't. I don't want to chance it this time, especially because I'm going to do my absolute best this year to watch as much college as I can. But for the intro, I'm just going to kind of go with some favorites and take Maryland.
I'm not going to rebut that. I'll talk about Maryland in a little bit. My second team is Georgetown. I think they were, I'm totally blanking on whether they were a quarterfinal team or a Final Four team last year. I think they were a quarterfinal team. Either way, right there on the verge last year. They did lose
Aiden
Carroll. That's the one. I kept wanting to say Matt Trainer, and I was like, no, that's Penn State, both blue and white schools, but like not the same. So yes, Aiden Carroll, but they did get the 2 Connor brothers, Liam and Connor. So I think they should be as good, if not better, than they were last year. I really like this team. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, my second team is Georgetown. I'll go with my third team. My third team is Princeton. Another team that was very good last year, was right there in it. I do wonder how much they're going to miss. What is his name? I keep wanting to say
Coulter?
Andrew McAdory. Who was it?
Coulter Mackesy?
Coulter Mackesy. Thank you.
Are you sure you watch college lacrosse here? Maybe I already watch a lot. I don't know. Or I just am sick in the head and remember too many random facts.
My problem is that it's been so long since I talked college lacrosse that everybody's like blending together. I'm like, wait, who was the what? So yeah, Princeton, like I said, I think was very good last year. I think they'll be very good this year. I'm going to be interested to see how they replace Coulter Mackesy, but Nate Kabiri is probably my favorite player in the NCAA right now. And I think that he should probably have an expanded role in the absence of Coulter Mackesy. So I have Princeton as my third team. Who's yours?
I'm going Ohio State for my third team.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen anybody else's really like predictions, so I don't know if that's out there or not. But when they came here last year to Denver, they looked pretty good, top to bottom. I think BB BVB is just incredible. I think I'm forgetting their goalie's name right now, but he looks like he can be pretty
Big
good.
Tasty.
It takes another step. Like, I feel pretty good about him. And again, this is kind of based off of like the teams that I sort of watched last year, so I'll take them as my third team.
I believe it's Caleb Fryock.
Is it Fyock or
It's Fyock.
Okay.
Yeah, Caleb Fyock.
I guess I could have just Googled
this
since I'm just sitting here like, who's that? But
nah. No, my fourth team is Ohio State. Like you said, BVB, Will Cullen, I believe is his name. Caleb Fyock. Love that defense. That back end is going to be very good. But I also think that their offense should be pretty good. They are Alex Mariner is great. I really enjoy him. They also got Russell Melendez previously from Johns Hopkins. So I think he can add an element to them. It's going to see, but obviously that defense is going to be what carries them, and they're going to hope that they can get 15 goals a game and hold everybody under it. So yeah, those are my four. Who was your fourth?
I don't know that I had a fourth.
Was it Duke? It must have been Duke.
You mean that team that lost to Denver last year? Nah.
Hey, and then Denver went home, and what did Duke do?
I don't know. I don't care what happened after that. I think I'm trying to pick an Ivy League as well. Which, I mean, Princeton seems like the obvious pick.
Dartmouth? Cornell? Yale?
I don't think
Yale?
I don't think I'm as high on Cornell as some might be. I'll just go Princeton. I'll take the cop-out answer. Not that I don't, like, I watched a decent amount of Yale last year. Not that I hate them either, but the guys that Princeton has, even with their losses, I feel like it just makes sense that, like, they're going to have a next man, right? They're kind of waiting, and even if it takes them a little bit to kind of get going, like, I feel pretty good about them late in the season.
Yeah. I think Princeton is going to be the best Ivy League team. A couple notes. You mentioned Maryland. I'm lower on Maryland. I don't know, something about the makeup of this roster I just don't love. That being said, before any Maryland fans come at me, this is by Maryland standards that I'm low on them. They are going to have every chance to win the Big Ten. They are going to make the NCAA tournament and will probably make Memorial Day weekend. I don't have them, but I think that's their ceiling, which is part of the reason why I don't have them, because I just don't think they're going to win a national championship. Clip it if they win it. I said it, whatever. I'm not running from it, but I just don't. I don't think that this is a national championship team. I think the ceiling for them is going to be making the Final Four, and I think they maybe don't do that. I think maybe they lose in the quarterfinals. I'm also down on Cornell a lot. I think they lost way too much last year. They're just not. Everyone says they're going to be good, and I love Ryan Goldstein. I love some of the players that they have left. I just don't think they're enough. So I'm down on Cornell. UNC is that team. They've got all the talent in the world, but like you have said for several teams in the NLL this year, like, I need to see it. I need to see them do it. And they have basically never done it since I've been watching lacrosse, except for 2016 when they just randomly did it out of nowhere. But they've never done it as like having that talent and being that front runner. And then the last one was Notre Dame. I don't know why anyone is high on Notre Dame. They lost damn near everything
because of the name. It's because of the name.
Yes, and to be completely honest, I think a lot of it is still like Kavanaugh love, like just carrying over to them. And I'm like,
I mean, I think, I mean, Josh Yago, we'll see what he does at Notre Dame. He was awesome at Air Force. I just don't, like, how does that transfer over? I think losing Jordan Faison, I think, was kind of, like, if they had Faison, I'd still kind of maybe feel like, okay, like, they can still make some noise, but it's tough, like you said. When you go from having, I mean, years of Kavanaughs and Jake Taylors and stuff like that to now this, it's kind of like, it's tough to see them going to at least Memorial Day week.
Yeah. Yeah. So, two things. First, we talked several weeks ago, how is Josh Yago even allowed to do this? I did some digging, and I have found out, excuse me, that apparently, and I did not know this, so cool to learn. Apparently, when you're at the academy, they allow you to transfer when you graduate. You can go do a graduate program as long as, I believe the stipulation said that it has to be like furthering the Air Force mission. Like you couldn't be like, oh, I'm going to go get a master's in veterinary studies while I'm going to be a pilot for the Air Force or something. I think there was some caveat with that, but they do allow you to go get a graduate degree and then start your service after you graduate from there. So that is how Josh Yago, and there was another one that transferred to Maryland, I think it was. Something like that. A goalie, the Air Force goalie transferred as well. But both of them did it as grad transfers. And like I said, I had no idea that was even a thing, but we talked about it. So I did want to answer that question. Secondly,
that's interesting.
Yeah. I had no idea that you could do that. Secondly, I think that, what's his name? Totally blanking on his name. James Hogan. That's his name. James Hogan tweeted out today a clip of Josh Yago scoring in their scrimmage. I think they played Utah this past weekend, and tweeted out that people have been blown away, that Josh Yago has been very good, that he's already become a leader of the team, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And not saying that's wrong. I'm quite sure that that is what James Hogan has heard, but it was funny to me because I thought, what else would they be putting out about Josh Yago? Like, actually kind of sucks. He's not that good.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, why would you not just say he's the best? And
right.
Especially when like you said, you lost your top players. Like,
who else was going to take over? was Jordan Faison's little brother going to be the leader of this Notre Dame team as a freshman? Like, what? I just thought it was funny because, again, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that it's not something he's heard. I just thought, like, what else were they going to tell you? But my concern with Josh Yago is still, I love him as a player. Obviously, we just talked about I am required to like Air Force players. So I still just wonder what he's going to look like. In theory, good player playing with other good players should be better player. I don't think it works that way often. So I'm interested to see what he looks like on this Notre Dame team. And that's not against Utah, not against, whoever else they're playing this season. It's what does Josh Yago look like when they go play Syracuse? What's he look like when Duke is there? Those kinds of things, because that's going to determine where Notre Dame is. If he can be the guy he was at Air Force against those teams, Notre Dame could be in a good position. My issue is, like we just talked about, their cupboard is, again, at least on paper, before the season starts, is fairly bare. And if I'm a defensive unit, I got to cue on that one guy and take him out of the game. And then what? Again, let Jordan Faison's little brother, I cannot believe I can't remember his name. I keep wanting to say Donald, the dude from Scrubs, which is so bad. And I'm sure they've heard that joke their whole lives. But I think I just heard my wife laughing at that.
It's Dylan.
Dylan. Okay. Dylan. Anyway, let you know.
Also, before we get off the Iago talk, that game with them coming to Air Force is going to be fun. I just realized that he's going to play his old squad, so even more excited for that now.
Are you going to go?
I hope so. I need to look at the date. Unfortunately, lacrosse, for some reason, schedules a lot of things midweek at like 3 p.m., so we'll see. The game at with Syracuse coming to Air Force is literally like 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Like, I can't make that. I will be at Syracuse, Denver when that happens on a Monday night, but if I can make it to that game, I will.
Are we talking about the scrimmage that was last weekend?
No, I thought they had a regular season game. Am I tripping? Did I just make this up in my head? I may have.
I've got them playing a scrimmage on 125. And I don't see them when they start the season against Lafayette. They play Denver, Ohio State, Siena Marist.
Because I see the one you're talking about on the 25th, right?
Yes. Yeah, on the 25th.
I'm sorry. I made this up. I meant the Duke game and somehow just now convinced myself that it was Notre Dame coming. Scratch everything I just said. My apologies.
No, you're good. You're totally good.
That Duke game at Air Force is on a Saturday, and as long as Denver's not playing that same day, I should be there. I was like, I know some big schools going down there aside from just Syracuse. Like,
yeah.
Okay. At least they played a scrimmage. At least it's kind of right, but
I wish we got more updates from these scrimmages. Because yeah, they did play 125. I wonder how that game went. Also, speaking of scrimmages and Maryland scrimmages, and I know not all the starters played and all that stuff, but supposedly it was ugly in their two scrimmages. Like ugly in their two scrimmages. If I remember correctly, one of them was like rumored to be like 14-3. They got beat. Yeah, like it was like horribly ugly. Again, preseason scrimmages, not all the starters played and everything. But it's not just that they lost. It's like how badly they got beaten. That is a problem. And for me, they're another one of those teams. Again, I just feel like they don't have the horses they need. I have a running kind of theory on Maryland. It's not something that I have like put out, but I have a running theory. The only two seasons that they have won the national championship, one of them they had Jared Bernhardt, and the other one they had Matt Rambo. And I don't think that any of the other, whatever it is, like 9 times that they've been, so I guess it'd be any of the other 7 times that they've been to the national championship game. I don't think they've ever had that like bona fide number one guy, go get us a goal, or, you know, go make a play at least kind of guy. And I don't think they have anything near that. I know people love Eric Spanos, and he's certainly got the talent. I don't think he's that dude. I don't think he's that number one, go get us a goal kind of guy. So let's get off of the teams that won't be in the Final Four and pick a NCAA champion for the season.
Denver's winning it all. Just kidding.
We just need to roll that clip. When they win it, you'll say it, I'll laugh, and then you'll just be like, hey.
Yep. Don't watch the Final Four prediction before that, and basically I called it.
And then, yeah. No,
Yeah.
who cares? That'll be like 5 months from now. It'll be fine.
No one's gonna even remember.
Mm-mm.
All right. Let's see here. Who did I have? I had Ohio State, I had Syracuse, Princeton, and Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we basically had the same Final Four. I just had Georgetown and you had Maryland.
Man, that's tough. Again, I'm trying not to overthink it, and because right now Syracuse looks like a wagon. Like, do I overbelieve in Ohio State this year? Or is Princeton that team? I think I'm with you in general about Maryland. I don't, of my 4, I don't think they are going to win it.
And again, to clarify, this is by Maryland standards. Again, I fully expect them to make,
right.
Quarterfinal. I just don't, you know how Maryland fans are. They get real.
They can say whatever they want. I've made it clear on multiple shows now. I'm a casual college fan. I could care less if I'm wrong. Let's go Princeton just to make it fun. Let's go Princeton to win it all.
I swear you read my notes. I swear you read my notes. I think Cuse is the easy choice. They're that good. They should be there. Like, Syracuse is the easy choice. It's just such the easy choice that I'm like, one, it's not fun, and two, it's like you said, maybe I'm overthinking it, but maybe it's just like, how often is it the favorite that actually wins it all? I guess I say that the year after Cornell basically went wire to wire, but yeah, I picked Princeton for the exact same reason. Okay, it's
that at least makes me think I'm on a good track here. If you're saying that,
listen, I don't know if agreeing with me puts you on a good track, but
as far as I'm concerned, you watch more than me. I'll take it.
Well, again, I tend to think that there's a bit of a bell curve in my knowledge where like, if I know nothing about a sport, I'm pretty good. But the more I learn, I know about it, the more like you said, I'm like second guessing myself all the time. I'm like, no, but this and that, and I end up getting it wrong. I try to get too cute with it or whatever. So whatever. But yeah, Princeton. I will take Princeton as well. One last thing before we move on is going to be a Tewaaraton pick. I'll start. I just said I didn't want to pick Syracuse because it was the thing, but I just don't know. I legitimately don't know who outside of Joey Spallina is going to win this thing, is going to be on the page to win it. Silas Richmond has certainly a shout. Mikey Weishar will be probably in the conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if Eric Spanos is in the conversation. He might even be a finalist. I just don't think it's going to be one that should really win. I wouldn't expect to see a poll there, but I would love to see BVB in that conversation by the end of the season, stuff like that. I will say I did put as a dark horse Josh Iago.
I was going to say, you don't believe in Josh Iago?
I have him as a dark horse. Again, my thing is, how good is he going to be at Notre Dame? If he plays the way that I know he is capable, that standard, I think he's in the conversation. But like we just talked about, I just don't know how good he's going to be there, especially because of how empty their cupboard is. So
that's fair. I'm tempted to just go with the homer pick just because I can, and then I can overly root for them. I just don't think that's. I think if you're gonna pick one from Denver, it'd be Cody Malowski. I don't think he wins it. I think there's hype around other guys that I think are too. Even if he had the season of his life, I think would just be a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah, because I think he'd have to have the season of his life, and Denver would have to be very good. They have to make a good run.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I mean, again, like you said, Spallina is the obvious pick. This is where, again, I'm second guessing, because in the NLL, we said Owen Hiltz was like going to win Rookie of the Year, and it was his to lose, and all of a sudden now we're 10 weeks in, and it's, a slightly different story. So I don't want to do any of that.
I should have put that on. I forgot to put that conversation on, but we'll probably get to that in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll do like a midterm NLL season kind of thing. But
I don't want to like cop out and just be like Spallina. What if we stuck with the Princeton train?
We're going Nate Kabiri?
I was thinking Chad Palumbo.
Chad Palumbo. Okay.
Again,
okay.
You said it for NLL. I'm saying it for college. Casual college lacrosse fan here. But I don't want to have the same Tewaaraton pick and national champion pick. So I'll just ride it out with Princeton. That's not to say that like I'm 100% confident, because I'm not at all, but I think it's a fun pick, so I'll go with it.
Listen, I'm all for enjoyable, fun picks. I got no problem with that. I am a little curious about Chad Palumbo over Nate Kabiri.
Don't worry. Like we said with the soccer segment, I'm good luck. This is the year.
Hey, listen, I cannot argue with that logic whatsoever. My only thing that I would say is last year Coulter Mackesy had 63 points, Nate Kabiri had 61, and Chad Palumbo had 47.
Yeah, but that was last year.
Coulter's gone. Coulter's gone.
Saying.
What's
going to be hilarious is if he actually pops off all year, and then at the end I'm just like, wow, that was actually a pretty good pick, and I did zero research, just like pulled that out of a hat and was like, this is the one.
Listen, come the end of May, when Manchester United has won the EPL and Chad Palumbo is holding the Tewaaraton trophy, we will stop questioning.
If that happens, I'm going to get a lottery ticket immediately.
You better.
Yeah, that would be wild.
That would be pretty insane. One thing I wanted to ask you about just before we start wrapping up. I think we talked about most of the league, the NCAA, kind of the upper echelon teams. One team we did not talk about in any capacity, the Richmond Spiders. I'm wondering how you feel. Again, I know you're kind of, maybe not a full outsider like I am with the NLL, but a lesser kind of guy with the NCAA. So you can feel free to speak more broadly about this.
I will.
How are you feeling about Richmond? They are ranked in the top 10 pretty much everywhere. And like we talked about that game against Maryland, a lot of people are picking Richmond for the upset.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, first off, of all the games to pick an upset, I don't think that's a crazy one.
No, for this weekend, for sure.
Like that just kind of makes the most sense. So that from that standpoint, like, yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, last year they went 14-4, so it's not like we're picking some random team that's like awful and can't win any games. To me though, like when you look at some of the other teams that I think, I mean, even like we said in our Final Four, and maybe not even just Final Four, but kind of down to the Final 8 and Final 10, there's some other teams that I just think flat out are better right now. Obviously the hype with Syracuse is there. Princeton, I mean, teams like Maryland, Ohio State, even I know we just kind of trashed them, but a team like Notre Dame does kind of raise some things of like, could they be better than a team like Richmond? I mean, again, Richmond had some close games. They lost to Cornell by 1 last year. Like, if they can continue that in to this season. Like they're going to feel pretty good. They beat Georgetown by 1, 13-12. So I mean, it's not crazy to think that they could upset this week. Would it shock me to see them in the Final Four? Not at all. It's just that I have some other teams, at least preseason wise, that I think are probably better built. But again, what do I know?
I'm going to say I think Richmond slides back a decent. They'll still be very. They'll still be a tough out. I'm not going to be. I'm going to probably go with Maryland this weekend, but if Richmond won this game this weekend, it's not like I'd be, completely shocked. I think that they will have a very good chance to win their conference. But I think they revert back. We have seen this happen several times over the last decade or so where a quote unquote kind of mid-major in lacrosse has a season where they just kind of put it all together, make a decent little run into the quarterfinals or whatever. And then the next year they have all these expectations and they just don't live up to them. And it's not even, I say mid-major, but it's not even mid-major. Like, we saw Ohio State did this in 2017. They made it to the Final Four, and then it took them forever to get back to a point where they were a decent team again. We've seen, teams like Georgetown, although they have been slightly more consistent, Georgetown, Loyola. There have been teams, Albany, that have made this kind of like run. Honestly, I hate to even say this, but it feels a little bit disrespectful because I do, as Jack Hanna made me say a few weeks ago, I do think Denver is a premier program in this country. But I mean, even Denver has had this kind of stretch now for the last, basically since they won the championship in 2015, where they'll have a year where they put it together, they make kind of a deep run, and then they fade back the next year or two. And it feels to me like this is going to be a Richmond year that they fade back a little bit. It's going to take a little bit more building, and it's going to be kind of this one step forward. I don't even want to say one step forward, 2 steps back, but one step forward, then they're going to come back down for a year or two, then they're going to go back up, and they're just going to kind of build and hopefully build a program that gets a little bit better over the course of a couple of years, not year after year after year. They're not just going to keep rising. So I'm down on them, even though I'm not down on them. I think they're a program on the rise, and I think they're going to hopefully keep kind of building. The only question would be, how long Dan Shamati stays there. Despite what people are saying on the internet, I don't believe that he's Kurt Signetti. And the rumor is that he wants the Duke job. So, got to imagine John Danowski's getting close, and everyone expects Matt Danowski to be his replacement, but we'll see what happens, I guess. So, that is going to do it for us this week. Brandon, what's your week looking like this week?
Kind of a crazy one. Finishing out the week just
4?
Normal. Yeah, I got 2 club games. So Denver Club Friday, Denver Normal Saturday morning, midday, Mammoth Saturday night, Denver Club again Sunday. So yeah, not sure how I'm gonna get content out. It might just be a situation where I just kind of edit 10 to 20 per. The club obviously is much easier because I'm giving that straight to them. I don't have to post that necessarily, but yeah, I've done the Saturday split quite a bit, and it's not that bad. It's busy, but pack a lunch and you're fine. But yeah, going
and 800 SD cards.
Yeah, it's if I had to guess, I'm gonna take probably 15,000 photos this weekend. That'd probably be my guess. Probably 3K a game, maybe. But first field action since fall ball. So excited for that. I'm praying it's not like frozen, out there. But if it is, have heated pants and heated shirts, and so I'm fine. Heated vests.
Pants?
Yeah, it has a plug where you just plug it into the like a power bank, and it heats it, and it is awesome.
I will tell you, I'm looking at the weather for Denver right now. Friday says 50 degrees, Saturday 54, Sunday 57.
I'll take that. Take that.
Don't hold me to it. I'm not the weatherman in the Denver area. That's what the weather reporters say.
The one I'm really worried about is for that Friday night game, just with the sun going down, and we'll see. But I can tough it out for one game. They're the ones that are going to be in the sun or inside, so I'll take it.
You got them heated pants to rely on. Yep.
I'll send you the link if you want them. They're magical.
I mean, don't not send me that link.
Yeah,
like I said,
as long as you have enough power banks
out there,
dude, you can go shovel for hours. The only problem you're gonna have at that point is like your feet, maybe.
Listen, I won't want heated pants for shoveling. I was out there for so long. I was like drenched in sweat, which was just like way more miserable. I was like, no, this ain't the thing. And even though I knew I was going to be doing it, for some reason I was like, oh, it won't be that big of a deal. And I took a shower before I did it. So I like showered and then went out and did it. And then I was just like drenched in sweat. And I was like, I need to shower again. Like, what the hell? So
that's funny.
Whatever. I don't have many plans. Gonna clean and, presumably watch Duke and Manchester United this week. And then the Royal Rumble is this weekend. So another thing that I know that you know so much about is
a ton.
Wrestling.
I mean, John Cena retiring finally, such a sad day. It's tough,
To be fair, he already retired, but
that's what I'm saying. It was sad when I saw that,
Yeah, it was.
Everyone was posting pictures of nothing for some reason. I don't know why they couldn't just post a picture of him, but
I'm just curious, who's your favorite wrestler?
All time, Rey Mysterio, by far. By far.
Still not retired Rey Mysterio.
Were like the mask thing when I was a kid, and you could buy like the little like figurines and stuff. So this is legit, real quick. I had a friend who he liked the, I don't know, like, the 10-inch versions or whatever. But when I was a child, they made these like mini figures, and you could go to Target and get like 4 in a pack. And I was obsessed with these things. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling as a kid because my mom thought it was like too violent or whatever. She eventually got away from that. But at the time, I was like, well, at least I can buy these like figurines. And I had like Rey Mysterio, John Cena, like Randy Orton, like all these different wrestlers that I was awesome. And now I can't find them. If I could, I would still buy them, even though I don't watch wrestling.
That's pretty cool.
Between that and soccer, I know more about that for sure. Just because when I was a kid, they had like the toys like at Target, and you could just see them all.
It's funny to me to hear that you're like, when I was a kid, I was watching Rey Mysterio, or Rey Mysterio was your guy, and I'm like, when I was a kid, Rey Mysterio was my guy. Like, he's been around that long. Like, and like I said, he just wrestled last night. Like, still around.
Good for him. Good to hear it.
In fact, his son, Dominic Mysterio, is one of the bigger names in the WWE right now. So.
See, I knew it. Just you heard it here first. I invested early.
That's right. Yeah. All those other people were so low on Rey.
They were so low. Rey Mysterio, Michael Carrick, you heard it here first. # ball nowhere.
Ball nowhere. Oh, and Chad Palumbo.
Chad Palumbo. I need Chad to see this. He needs to ball out now, because otherwise I'm going to look like a fool. I probably already do, but I'll take it.
Listen, what would it take for Chad Palumbo to have balled out? Short of, like, let's take the Tewaaraton out of the conversation.
80 points.
80 points. All right, so he's
to be stamped. I would take 70 as like a fan, but I think for others to acknowledge, I think probably 80.
Listen, you know what? I'm gonna cut you this much slack and say 70, because
that's fine.
Nate Kabiri only had 60. what I say, 61?
Yeah, I think so.
61. So
I mean, if
so
you had 70, I'll
say
take that.
I'm going to give you 70 is going to be
All right. That's
like
fine.
a great Chad Palumbo season.
I mean,
It's going to be,
what is that? Let's say 70 divided by 14 games. That's 5 points a game.
which is
That's
good.
doable.
I mean,
that's doable.
That's great. That's great. Now I need to look at. Hold on, I still have this open. So let's go look at Princeton. They have They open against Penn State, then they play Maryland, Syracuse, North Carolina, Rutgers, Yale, Cornell, Brown. Actually, you know what? Is their conference schedule's easy.
I see like one loss there. Maybe.
Who's your one loss?
Maybe Syracuse.
Oh, that's right, Syracuse. I do see Syracuse. Yeah, Penn State should be.
Oh, wait. For the Maryland fans, actually, they probably could lose to Maryland too. Just so I don't get attacked online.
But if you think about it, like we said, Maryland was better last year. That's kind of the consensus we had. Maryland was better last year, and if I remember correctly, I'm going to look this up but I'm pretty sure Princeton beat Maryland last year. Oh, my computer's being slow all of a sudden. Nope, shit. 2025. Here we go. All right. Oh, no, Maryland beat them 13-9. That was my bad.
That was last year, though. They're worse now. Princeton's back.
That was last year. That was last year. So, listen, I'm saying five goals a game, or not goals, 5 points a game. You know, some of these games. Whew, Penn, Vermont, Lehigh, Brown, Yale, Rutgers. Like, that's right. Give him old Jameis Winston. I gotta eat them
Just saying, dubs. I'm about to be the biggest Princeton fan this year, besides Denver and Air Force. I'll support them. But
listen, all it takes is a root and interest. You know, you know what? We both had Princeton as national championships. As national champions. So it sounds to me like Princeton is going to be the official team of the run out in 2026.
Yes. They're going to have to be the game that we talk about the most every week.
Yes.
That's going to be our game of the week.
Track of them.
There's going to be big time matchups, so we're going to be talking about Princeton.
It'll be a Princeton watch and a Chad Palumbo watch every week.
Yep. We might have to make a graphic that's just the points for Chad Palumbo and maybe something else for Princeton. I'll think of something.
How close he's getting to 70.
Yes. It'll be like the Palumbo Tracker.
The Palumbo Tracker. Yep, I like it. I like it. All right. That is going to do it for this week. If you want to keep the conversation going, the best place to do that is the Lax Lifers Club. That is our community. And at its core is a free Discord where you can talk all versions of lacrosse with other lifers who care about the game as much as you do. All of the details are linked in our show notes or in the description if you are watching on YouTube. You can find us on social media. Brandon is at Hoot Sports Media, and I am Neil Barrett. Wherever you are listening, make sure you are subscribed. And if you have got a second to rate or review the show, it genuinely helps us more than you probably realize. With all of that being said, until next time, as always, we will catch you guys in the comments.
Go Tigers.